Welcome to the deep dive. We are jumping straight into a really high-stakes scenario, one that I think defines clinical practice, especially when you're working with young people.
It really does.
So imagine you're the clinician. You have a patient, a 15-year-old, who is, articulate, intelligent, seems totally capable of making their own decisions, what we might call Gillick competent.
Right.
And they lean in and they disclose that they're in a sexual relationship with their teacher. Then they look you right in the eye and they beg you, absolutely beg you for secrecy. What is the immediate non-negotiable step?
And that dilemma, that exact moment where your instinct to keep a patient's trust just crashes head on with your legal duty to protect a child. That's what this is all about.
Exactly. Our mission today is a practical one. We are going to synthesize the legal anchors, the highest priority actions, and the critical red flags for child safeguarding and protection in the UK.
And we're pulling this straight from the statutory guidance. Things like Working Together to Safeguard Children 2023.
Yeah, translating that complex policy into really clear, confident action. We want to make sure you know how to act, immediately, lawfully, and always in the child's best interest.
To do that, we have to start at the foundation, the law. If you look at the Children Act 1989, there are really two main duties that you have to understand.
Oh, okay, let's break that down right away. What are those two core sections?
You have to separate Section 17, or S.17, from Section 47. They sound similar, but they trigger very different levels of intervention.
Okay, S.13. What's that?
S.17 is all about proactive support. It's for providing services to what's called a child in need. Think of it as early help.
So preventing problems before they get serious.
Exactly. It might be family support, helping a parent access services for a child with complex needs, maybe providing resources because of poverty. It's about promoting the child's health and development.
So that's preventative work. Why is that distinction so important for, say, a busy doctor?
Because the GMC expects us to think preventatively. If you can spot a Section 17 needed child whose health is likely to be impaired without that help, you can trigger those early services.
And stop things from escalating.
Right. You can prevent a situation from drifting towards that more serious S.47 threshold.
And S.47, I'm guessing that's what we all think of as child protection.
Precisely. S.47 is the formal child protection stage. This is what gets triggered when there is reasonable cause to suspect significant harm.
That's the key phrase, isn't it?
That's the tripwire, significant harm. If you suspect that, S.47 mandates a formal investigation. The multi-agency process kicks in, all governed by Working Together 2023.
And that guidance, working together, it's kind of the Bible for this, right? It tells police, health, education, social care how to collaborate.
It is. And the core principle that flows from that and aligns with the GMC is timely protection. The highest scoring actions in any scenario are always the ones that reduce risk immediately.
What's the main takeaway for a clinician there?
You are not the investigator. Your job is not to prove anything. It's to recognize the risk, act on that reasonable suspicion, and immediately pass the baton to the statutory team.
So children's social care or MSRA?
Children's social care or the multi-agency safeguarding hub, yes. Trying to investigate it yourself or waiting to see what happens. That's a huge error. It prolongs the risk.
That mindset shift, acting on reasonable suspicion, not proof, is such a huge hurdle, I think. We're so used to evidence-based practice. So what does that immediate action actually look like?
Safety first, always. The absolute first step is clinical. Treat any injuries, deal with any immediate medical needs.
And what if there's an ongoing threat, like the perpetrator is in the waiting room?
Then you consider police involvement immediately. If there's evidence of a crime in progress or an ongoing physical threat, that's a 999 call.
Okay, so
you have to get a private history. It's about creating psychological safety and blocking any kind of interference.
Because if the parent or caregiver is in the room,
and they happen to be the perpetrator, you just shut down any chance of disclosure. You've actually made it more dangerous for the child. It has to be private and safe.
Which brings us right back to our 15-year-old, the one who disclosed the relationship with the teacher and then begged for secrecy. That moment where they say, you can't tell anyone.
And this is where you have to be honest and immediate. The absolute rule is this: never promise secrecy, ever. Promising confidentiality when there's a suspicion of significant harm is a major professional failure.
But that's so hard. You've just built this trust, and now it feels like you're breaking it. How do you actually say that? What are the words?
You use a phrase that validates them but also states your duty very clearly. Something like, I'm really glad you felt safe enough to tell me this. I can't keep this a secret because I have a legal duty to help keep you safe. And then you add, but we will only share this with the absolute minimum number of people who need to know to make that safety plan happen.
So you manage their expectations, but you hold that line on protection. Now let's test that against Gillick competence, because our 15-year-old might say, look, I'm competent to make this decision. I'm safe.
This is a classic exam trap. Gillick competence is vital, yes, for under 16s consenting to things like contraception or basic treatment, but
Right.
it does not override the statutory duty to refer if significant harm is suspected, especially when it involves abuse by someone in a position of trust, like a teacher.
So even if the young person insists they are making a free choice.
The inherent power imbalance in that kind of relationship means it's automatically a safeguarding concern. The protection duty overrides the competence argument because the situation itself presents an inherent risk of exploitation.
That makes sense. The context is everything.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift to some more objective clinical markers, the kind of red flags that just scream, act now.
The absolute classic is bruising in a pre-mobile infant.
A baby who isn't crawling or walking yet.
Right. A child who isn't cruising or walking. Research shows that bruising in this age group is incredibly rare, maybe in 1 or 2% of infants. And when you see it, it is very strongly correlated with non-accidental injury.
So if you see a bruise on a pre-mobile infant, what's the action?
This is an immediate, urgent, multi-agency response. It triggers an urgent pediatric and safeguarding assessment, which almost always leads to a child protection medical.
So you don't send them home and say, keep an eye on it.
Absolutely not. You act right there and then. That suspicion is your reasonable cause for a S.47 investigation.
Now let's go back to our 15-year-old and the teacher. The position of trust red flag. When an allegation is about someone who works with children, there's an extra step, isn't there?
A mandatory extra step. Alongside the normal referral to children's social care, you must make a notification to the local authority designated officer, or LADO.
LDO, and why is that dual process so critical?
Because they have two different jobs. The referral to CSE focuses on the child's immediate safety. The notification to the LADO focuses on the allegation against the professional.
Ah, so it's about the bigger picture, protecting other children.
Exactly. The LAD manages the investigation into that person's conduct. It can lead to suspensions, barring lists. It's about managing the systemic risk. You have to do both, LAD and CSE.
Okay, so we've identified the risk, we've seen the child alone, we understand the reporting. Let's map out that stepwise process. The first, next, last for a referral.
This is the high-yield pathway. First, you consult your safeguarding lead, your named doctor or nurse. You do it promptly. You never, ever manage this alone.
Okay, consult first. Next.
Next, you make the formal referral to Children's Social Care, or MASH, immediately. This is you passing the baton. Remember, you're acting on suspicion, not proof.
And last.
Last, you participate in what comes next. Attend the strategy discussion, be available for the child protection medical, document everything. You have to follow through.
And the big trap here is just waiting.
Watchful waiting is the trap. Deciding to reassess tomorrow. Any delay tanks your score because you're seen as minimizing risk. The moment the suspicion is reasonable, the referral is non-negotiable.
Let's tackle that other big knot, information sharing. We're so drilled on confidentiality. Can I really share this information without consent?
Yes, you can and you must. Data protection law has specific exemptions that permit sharing information to safeguard a child from significant harm.
So the law allows it.
A law allows it, and your professional duty demands it. But there are rules.
What are the parameters?
Proportionality. You show the minimum necessary information and only on a strict need-to-know basis. And crucially, you use secure channels.
So no staff WhatsApp groups.
Definitely not. No insecure messaging, no broad teen emails. It's formal logging systems, secure email to the safeguarding team, or a direct phone call.
Okay. The final piece is documentation. How do we make sure our records are fit for purpose?
You need to be objective. Document facts, not your interpretation, and use verbatim quotes whenever you can.
The child's exact words.
Exactly. Ready. Patient said, quote, "He told me not to tell anyone," is so much more powerful than patient alleged they were told to keep secrets.
And you record everything else. Time, who was there, who you consulted, what the plan is.
The date and time of the MASH referral. It's your professional audit trail. It protects the child, and it protects you.
We've covered a lot of ground there. It can be hard to remember all those steps in a crisis.
Which is why having a framework is so useful. We use the child-safe mnemonic to pull it all together.
Child safe. I like it. Let's walk through it. C.
C is for check safety. Immediate medical needs first. H is hear child alone. Get that private history, explain the limits of secrecy. I is for information share. Minimum necessary, secure channels only.
Yeah.
L is lead consult. Talk to your safeguarding lead, your new doctor or nurse.
D.
D is document verbatim, objective notes, exact quotes, times, actions.
Yes.
S is the Section 47 test. Do you suspect significant harm? If yes, refer to MASH or CSC. A is act on the strategy plan. Follow through. Case conferences, LADO referrals, all of it.
Yeah.
F is family support. Remember that S.1c in early help is also an option when it's appropriate.
And finally, E.
E is escalate and review. Make sure the follow-up happens and everything is logged.
That's a great protocol. If you run child safe, you're not going to miss a critical step. You're following the guidance.
You are. You're satisfying working together 2023 and the GMC.
Okay, let's synthesize this. Let's boil it down to the 3 non-negotiable truths. First, for me, is the principle of speed. Always act on reasonable suspicion. Don't wait for proof.
Absolutely. Delay is the biggest risk. Second is clarity. See the child alone and be crystal clear about the limits of confidentiality. Protection has to come first.
And third, I'd say, is accountability. Refer promptly to CSC, document everything objectively and securely, and don't forget that LADO referral if a professional is involved.
And nail those 3, and you've fulfilled your highest duty. But it brings us back to that ethical tension.
The 15-year-old.
That 15-year-old. The one who insists they're competent and safe. Your job doesn't end with the referral. The real professional challenge is, how do you maintain a supportive, non-judgmental relationship with them while you're also triggering a legal process they might hate?
Right.
Balancing your role as their advocate with your mandatory duty to intervene. That conflict, that's where ethical practice really happens, and it requires structured thought.
Absolutely. The structure is your shield, and the empathy is the care. For anyone who wants to dive deeper into these decision frameworks and actually practice these kinds of scenarios, you can find some excellent resources over at passthemsra.com. They have specific guides on the logic, the mnemonics, and detecting those trap answers.
Stay knowledgeable and stay safe.
Thanks for joining us for this crucial deep dive into child safeguarding. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time.